Hey, so this is how I'm installing motor here. It's a nice brand motor. So what you want to do first is get a hole there for the wires that you're gonna feed to the motors. Also, you're gonna need 4 bolts. You can cast them in the concrete or just drill the concrete and put them afterward. You are gonna need to feed 240 volts to your motor, but also wires going out for your photo cells and for the warning light. First, put it where you think you're gonna need it. Once you've put it on the bolts, you don't need to tighten the bolts. You remove the 2 screws on the side and you take the cover off. Now you want to set your distance to the gate. So just get a piece of railing, set it there, and you should just come flush on this side here with the gate, with the railing. So just slide it over a little bit. Make sure you're flush there. And for the height, you need to have a gap in between the railing and this sprocket of about 2 millimeters. So 1.5 2 millimeters. And you can use spacers under the unit. You can use washers, or if you need bigger space, you can use nuts. Once you have that pretty much set where you want it, then you can start screwing in your railings. To ensure you have that 2 millimeter gap in between the railing and the pinion, one trick is to just lay the rack straight on the pinion with no space, but put like 2 millimeter spacer underneath the motor. And before you start mounting the rails, just lay them on the floor in front of the gate to make sure you don't need to cut one of the railing like here and you don't have no mounting point on this end. Because if that happens, just get an extra piece of railing and shimmy them left to right and cut both ends of the railing, so you have plenty of mounting points, because you need mounting points. Okay, so after you've laid them out and that everything looks good and you have the shims there and you have the approximate distance, you need to open the gate all the way and start with first rail. So after you've had the door totally opened and you saw the distance here, you clamp it on one end, you move the gate so that this end rests on the pinion, and you can screw in the first screw. So what you want to do is drill it in the middle of the slotted hole, so you can adjust it later up and down if needed. Also use washers. I didn't use a washer for this first one, but I'm going to replace it. And just slide the gate towards the closed position and screw them each. I use self-tapping screws, they hold really well. Once you're done with the first section, you can take your other rail and put it on the pinion there, and then slide it here, connected to the other rail. If you don't have this type of connections in between them, you can just use a clamp to hold them at the same level while your other end is on the pinion there, and start drilling them in. After you're done installing all of them, move the gate and it should be all good. But first, remove the shims so the motor drops to its final position. And now there should be 2 millimeter gap here. And I can see that we do have 2 millimeter gap there. Just roll it slowly and look at the spacing. Make sure it maintains itself. If not, you just tighten one or some of the screws that need to be adjusted and adjust it up and down. So remember, move the gate a couple of times. Just make sure they're all tight enough. Okay, now we're gonna go to the wiring. Now about the wiring. After you've fed your wires, put the motor back on. You have all your wires here. You take the mains wire, so from the grid, you take off this plastic cover, and it's 1, 2, and 3, which is the power supply. So you got one, that's the live wire, and the second one is the neutral, and the third one is the ground. Let's hook these up first. This is the antenna side and the light. So this is how you hook it up. This is the antenna side, and this is the power for the light. It sits there like that. You can unclip it so you can wires more easily. And then all you do is put the cap back on. This is how I did the wiring on this thing. I've never done it before, so I needed to figure it out. The 1, 2, 3 is the live wire, the neutral wire, and the earth. That's from the mains. Then 4, and 5, you have the wires going to the light on top, and those are 240 volts. And then you have 8, 9, 10, and 11. 8 and 9 go to the photo sensors. You just wire them in parallel. Then you need to jump between the 9 and 10, and 11 goes to the photo cell, but it's not powering the photo cell, it's the dry contact. One of them goes to 11 and the other to 10 or 9, it doesn't matter, because all of these are using the same common circuit. So 9, 10, 11, and 12. This is the transmitter photosensor. It only has 2 wires. These go to the 8 and 9 terminals. This is the receiver photo terminal. It has 4 wires. So the power goes here and here. That is here and here. And they go to the 8 and 9 terminals. And the normally closed are 2 wires. They go here and here. And they go to the 9 and 11 terminals. And 12, you just hook up a smart switch. Also, that dry contact is between 12 and 9. Here, at 1 and 2, you just hook up the antenna. The way you program the remotes is after removing this lid, there is a button here. You press and hold it for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then green LED light lights up here. After that, you release that button and you press and hold the button on the remote for about 3 seconds. You let it go, and then you can take another remote, press and hold it. What I also had to do was change this trimmer. This is a trimmer here. You can adjust it using a flathead screwdriver. As you can see, there's also like an arrow there. It was pointing the other way, and that controls the travel. So I had to put it all the way to the other end because the gate is long and it would shut off before it reached the mechanical stop. These are the mechanical stops that you just adjust. You slide them left to right until it stops wherever you want them to. So I had to adjust that one. And the other trimmer next to it, you can adjust the pause. So when the gate opens and reaches the end, it stops for a little bit and then it closes back up. You adjust that pause using this trimmer here, this one. I also had to adjust that one. Okay, this is the wiring. I hope it makes sense. If not, leave me a comment. I'll try to explain it better.